Hello, this is Ligia Houben. It is beautiful to connect with you again. And the topic of our conversation today, or my message today, is about when our grief has stayed frozen. And what makes me talk about this topic? Recently, I had 2 different interviews in Spanish, and in both interviews, the topic of frozen grief came into our conversation. And after that, I received many messages from people asking me, Ligia, what does it mean, frozen grief? Please, elaborate on the topic. And knowing that grief, because I have talked extensively about what grief is, the natural and unique response to a loss, and understanding that loss is not only when we lose a loved one to death, that there are other types of losses. I want to talk about frozen grief. And to know if you know that you are suffering from frozen grief from the past, because it is when you have experienced grief, you have experienced a loss, and your grief, you just put it on the shelf. You put it on the shelf and you continue. Let's keep in mind that what we ignore does not cease to exist. It is only repressed. And then it becomes a frozen grief. And how do you know if you have that? Well, a technique, a tool that helps beautifully in knowing how we have processed our losses is the history of losses. To write on a timeline the different types of losses you have experienced in the past and reflect on how you have processed your grief. And you will be able to just pinpoint, to find out in that history if there was a loss that you never processed the grief, and you may have stayed stuck in that grief. Maybe you lost a loved one, or you had a romantic breakup and you cannot even talk about the person. Maybe you cannot just pass in front of places that would remind you of that person. Maybe you lost your job and you cannot even pass by in front of the building of the company. Maybe you don't want to talk about them neither. So all these things may show to you that you have stayed stuck, frozen in that grief. Because this is such an important topic, I will be having a Facebook Live on how to see if our frozen grief has been manifested, because generally it does. It gets manifested in different areas of our lives, and with the intention of helping you finding out how it is being manifested and giving you tools to deal with that, I'll be doing the Facebook Live on this topic on July the 8th, which is a Wednesday. July the 8th, which is a Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So I invite you to join me, and we'll be having this conversation. In the meantime, you may want to do that exercise to find out if you have frozen grief. Always keep in mind that in order to change something, to handle it in a better way, and even to transform it, we need to know that we have that. If you have a frozen grief and you want to release all that and transform it, do that exercise of the history of losses. It may give you a beautiful and powerful insight. I send you a hug. I send you all my love. And I wish you a meaningful week. Thank you.